Carol, I'm good, but I'm thinking maybe you shouldn't sit there because I won't be able to see
I'm gonna
you.
stand. I'm gonna be high.
You gonna be high? Okay.
She's going up.
She's building her tower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. That works. Carol, do you want to start us with the prayer?
In Tibetan.
Yeah, why not? Sangye. Churan Soki Churnam Jamchu Padu Rakni Kyatsuchi Naki Dinyan Ipe Tunamki Yola Pinchu Sangye Pashu Churan Soki Churnam Jamchu Padu Rakni Kyatsuchi Naki Dinyan Ipe Tunamki Yola Pinchu Sangye Pashu Chunam Soki Choknam Jangchu Baru Rakni Kyapsuchi Naki Nipe Sunamki Chola Pinchu Sangye Pashu. Start to feel like you're settling in. Allowing yourself to become present to being here, letting all the chaos from before go, allowing yourself to open up. Open up into being here. I'd like you to think about the people in your life. And the reason why you are here. Can you do it for the people in your life? Can you change the way you are into becoming a happier person for the sake of all the people in your life? Is that something you can do? Can you use the people in your life as a motivation for you to put in the work to eliminate all your unhappiness, all your the source of unhappiness, the root, which is ignorance? Can you remove that for the people that you see in your world? You can become this being where people are safe when they're around you. You don't have to worry about you judging them or you feeling a certain way because of things they say to you. You protect them with your love by just being there. When people are gossiping and you're sitting there and you're not joining in, you are protecting them from doing more bad deeds like that. You are not encouraging them to keep doing actions that will bring them nothing but suffering. Therefore, they will feel safe around you. When you can do it out of love, not out of some pride that you think you're better because you're not gossiping. No, out of love. You know there's no need to gossip, there's no need to do bad things. When you are in your center, there is no need. You're not pulled by desire or aversion. You just are. You just are there. You're just in love with the people around you. And therefore people are safe. And that's how you change your world. It will ripple out. Slowly coming back Class 9. Almost there. Yay. Good job for keep on coming, and that's pretty awesome. Today we're talking about what deeds will send you straight to hell. Should you have any desire to
Avoid that.
to avoid that, yes.
We already were in hell. She's finding a way out.
So they're called the 5 immediate misdeeds, or the 5 heinous deeds, and they're accepted by all the schools. So when you do any of these, it's called the immediate misdeed because your next birth will be hell. And some Buddhist scholars have said that next birth would be like you won't have the bardo, you would go straight to this hell realm, but that's not true. So you're going your first bardo, then your next life, you'll be going to hell. Because we've talked about karma, right? Where it can ripen in this life, the next life, or any life after, right? So these deeds will be for your next life. And people who do these kind of deeds, they create something called jupas, which is like when you do deeds like these, it will prevent you from seeing holy beings. So say the Dalai Lama is in town and you want to go, you'll get in a car crash on the way there, something like that. Some obstacles will arise which will prevent you from seeing holy beings. And I don't think that can only happen when you're doing these serious misdeeds. I think it can happen way easier than that, because it's very rare for you to sit here and hear these teachings. It takes a whole lot of good virtue, and many people will find obstacles when they come to class, right? Or they can't come at all. Or some people come for a little bit and then the karma just runs out and they won't come anymore. In the years that I've been coming to Three Jewels, I've seen many people come and go. That seemed really, really on fire at the beginning, and a couple months later you will never see them again. So, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily done, maybe but it takes a lot of virtue to consistently be coming. So that's why I'm so happy that you're still here in class 9. Because that's one thing I've often seen too. Like, the group starts out really big at class 1, everyone excited, and by class 10 there's like, one person left. Which makes sense. It is, these teachings are kind of backwards to what we're doing our whole life. And it does take commitment and time, which we all don't have enough of, it seems often, right? So you really need to feel this pull in your heart, and you need to keep replanting the seeds in order to see yourself sitting here. So when you do one of these 5 big misdeeds, chances are pretty much zero that you'll see holy beings in your life for quite some time. So the list in the traditional order, which is not the list of severity, the first one is Masupa. Say Masupa. What do you think Ma means? Yeah, mother. And Supa is kill. So killing your mother. Yeah. It happens. Oh yeah, it happens.
Can it also mean how people reject their mothers? I'm thinking, can they metaphorically kill them?
Yeah.
Or disrespect, or
Yeah.
cut them out. I'm worried about that because I see that a lot.
I know. It's definitely part of it, but in order to go straight to one of the hell realms, you'd actually have to physically kill them. But rejecting them, yeah, isn't ideal. No.
I have a question
Mhm.
regarding that. Say in childbirth,
Yeah.
there's been lots of times where young mothers or mothers have had complications and have passed away in the middle of a birth.
Yeah.
Is that killing your mother as well, or is that because it is really like, well, is it?
That's a good question. I'm not certain. Um, this specifically refers to intentionally killing your mother, right? So when you are even killing them by accident, it would be very different. Um, so when you're a little baby inside your mom's belly and your mom dies, it doesn't refer to this. I don't know. I don't know what the scriptures say about that, Nina. I'm not sure. It would be interesting to know.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, but it definitely there's no intention of killing, so it wouldn't send you
Mm-hmm.
to the hell
Because
like
that's
this.
a being.
I don't.
We're born. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways, yeah. Thought.
yeah. I can't say because I haven't read that in the scripture. Yeah, so I don't know. So it does talk about so what if you adopt a child? Which mom do you have to kill in order to get this thing happen to you, right? Um, when it is really about the birth mother, not about the adopted mom. I mean, that will still send you. Yeah, it still would be really not good to kill your adopted mother either. But this is about the person who brought you into the world, um, who gave you this body. And we'll talk about that more later in the class, why that's so important, why it's more severe to kill your birth mother rather than the person that may have raised you from the moment you were born right after you came out of the belly of someone else. And, my neighbors, they adopted a baby and the baby was born, and as soon as the baby was born, the baby became theirs, right? So that happens. Um, so even though they take care of this child their whole lives, um, she's not birth mother. So this is about the birth mother. So what's also interesting then is, so say your mother is on life support, and she has told you before she's went on life support, if I'm being a vegetable or I'm in so much pain, please pull the plug for me. So what about that, right? And that would be killing your mother. Again, your intention is different than when you go running behind your mother and stab her. So it would lessen, but because in Buddhism we believe in future lives, that has something to do with it, right? When we've also learned that most of us people will go to lower births after this because of our ignorance. So who says that when you pull the plug that your mom's life's going to be better? You know, what we have studied so far in the other courses shows that as a very small percentage of us humans that will have a better rebirth. So you shouldn't be taking anybody's life because most likely they'll suffer more where they're going. That's one of the reasons behind it, but basically it falls under killing your mother. So here they would say, don't pull that plug, which is interesting, right?
Would that fall under suicide as well?
Well, suicide is not killing your mother, but yeah, suicide is killing.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my mind, if my mother asked, I would like, yeah, it just makes sense because the mental state is not there to never pull plug or to do things like that. But let's say.
Oh, okay. That she's doing suicide.
Requests this,
right.
The other person follows through with the request.
I think you could probably say that. That's partial suicide too. If you decide you're going to have someone pull the plug for you. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about euthanasia. Let's say that one person says, I'm going to wish to end my life. Can you assist that person?
Right. So that would be the same as what I'm saying here. So you shouldn't. According to these teachings, you shouldn't. Yeah. And they even say, like, when you see a bug that's cut in half or something and it's still squirming, and what I would have done many times in my life so far is kill it, because I'm thinking it's suffering. Better help this being no longer suffer, right? So you kill it. Well, I'm not doing that anymore after hearing these teachings. Yeah, because most likely when you kill them, they'll suffer even more where they're going.
I was thinking though, I don't understand why he would, because there's no chance to redeem themselves.
Sorry?
Would the bug at that time be able to do anything more to redeem itself in terms of its karma at that point?
It's living its karma, right? And if you stop it, then they get to experience that. Emergency, then
They'll go down.
They'll go down?
Yeah.
It affects their karma?
Yeah, when they die.
Well, and also we can have the last second, more microsecond of an awareness, like Mariska could put one of the
one of the scriptures. Yeah, like you can help
that
them.
microsecond of something.
Help them, relieve them, help them feel comfortable, like care for them, but don't kill.
What about all these at the vet that put all these animals that euthanize
Mm-hmm.
these animals
Mm-hmm.
because they're so that's all wrong.
Well, according to
The scripture.
the teachings, yeah, because of karma. Yeah. And again, your intention really matters when they put them under. They do that most likely because they care. So it will lessen the karma significantly versus killing out of evil intent is very different. But still, in the teachings, they say no killing, no killing. So that's something to think about. So that's the first one. Don't kill your mother. What do you think the second one would be? Pasupa.
Dad.
Yeah, killing your father. So don't kill mom and dad. The next one is Dra Chumpa. See Dra Chumpa? Dra means enemy. Chumpa is destroyer. So don't kill an enemy destroyer. What's an enemy destroyer? can't really hear you.
It must be someone who helps you destroy your enemies towards enlightenment. And so it must be someone, a spiritual guide, a Buddha, a teacher.
Could be. Who is your enemy? Or in general, who?
Our ignorance, our ignorance.
Yeah, the ignorance is the root problem. Our enemy is really our mental affliction. So an enemy destroyer is somebody who has destroyed their enemy, who has destroyed all their mental afflictions, thus their ignorance, right? Which is somebody who's reached nirvana. They have no longer any mental afflictions. Yeah, so it's an arhat. The next one, se gendong gi yen yepa. So what this means, gendong is sangha, ki yen is to divide, yepa is to do, which means to create a schism in the sangha. Who can tell me what a schism is?
A lie or a problem, or get a collective group of people to disagree with what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So create a schism in the sangha is when you divide the sangha up. And in this case, it has to be monks who do this, and it actually has to be very specific. To do this particular thing, it has to be very specific, which we will go into in this class. The whole reading is pretty much about that. It needs to be 9 monks, 4 on each side, 1 in the middle, dividing them. So we'll go into that a little bit more deeper. So that's very serious, to divide up your sangha. Then the next one, the last one is Deshek Langeng Samgi Chakjimpa. Which is drawing blood from a Buddha.
Should that even be like Blue Cross?
Sorry?
Should that even be? Maybe I'm thinking far-fetched, sorry. I'm thinking Blue Cross or some sort of emergency situation.
Mm-mm. No, this is about killing a Buddha, or trying to kill a Buddha, or trying to hurt a Buddha, making the Buddha bleed, rejecting Buddha. Actually, it's impossible for the Buddha to have blood.
Well, that's what I was confused.
But it's the intention. And actually, a Buddha can appear to you as bleeding, but they can't suffer. There's this story about Shakyamuni's half-brother who was very jealous, apparently. And he made a catapult and he hit him in the leg where the Buddha did show blood. Yeah. So that's a big no-no. That will get you into the hell realms.
I actually find it quite fascinating that someone who's a Buddha or someone who's a monk who's practicing and who's so heavily, obviously, if you're a monk, you're heavily involved in this practice would I mean, they'd have to be not in the right mind. They'd have to have had some past karma to actually move forth with this way of thinking. It seems absurd that you'd even
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it could be
you
someone
know,
who doesn't understand and doesn't know, but someone who's practicing and is in a monastery and is practicing
I know it's
Buddhism
hard
is
to get, but at the same time, you know, I think I can speak for myself that once I started to become serious about practicing, things got pretty ugly. Like my mind, maybe because it was the first time I really paid attention to what I saw, but um, certain karmas will start to ripen quicker when you're really serious on the path.
this is
And which, if in a moment where you feeling really pulled by that, it can make you do something out of ignorance.
About priests or use of the beads in church.
Yeah, it's
oh
it's
right.
it's
You know,
horrible.
if they're really on their practice and
This is true.
they know, right? So it does happen. You're
It,
right.
it
Oh,
happens.
you're right. I thought the same thing. Like it could happen, but
It definitely can happen. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna work with all your mental afflictions. They're all coming up. You know, your desire, your jealousy. Um, but yeah, no, it's true. It is because of your past karma that this is coming up. So then, do you have enough wisdom to not act on that and to like cut it out with the root, by the root, because of your wisdom, or do you have ignorance ruling you and um, you know making you do things that you will regret?
Yeah.
So these acts will bring you to hell directly. These five, which are they? Can you rename them for me?
Masupa, Pasupa, Drangpa, Supa, Jendun,
yin,
Yen,
jipa,
Jepa, Des,
shen,
La,
sen,
Neng, Sem,
trap, jimpa.
I love it. Great. And in English, what are they?
Thank you. Killing your mother, killing your father.
Without looking, without looking.
Okay, killing your mother, killing your father. One of them is drawing blood.
From who?
Drawing blood from a Buddha, and the other one was separating
Yeah.
in the monastery,
In the Sangha, yeah.
and can I look?
Yes.
Killing
Awesome.
yes, someone who's
An enemy destroyer. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Good.
the enemy destroyer.
Great. Which is the arhat, which is someone who reached nirvana. Yeah.
And that would be sheer jealousy.
So all of these will bring you to hell. The one where you divide up the sangha is the worst, and it will bring you to the lowest hell, the hell of no respite. And we'll be talking about this in a second. Yeah.
Because there are many schools, so are they not schisms? There are many schools.
If you no, as long as you don't disparage other schools.
Okay, so what's disparaging?
Yeah. But in this case, the schism is actually like telling a lie. So you purposely divide up people, right? We're talking about that in a second more. So what happens is that so this is a little tricky. I don't have a math brain. But when you do the schism, you will be sent to the lowest realm, the lowest hell realm, hell of no respite, for one parkalpa. So what is a parkalpa? I'm going to see if I can explain it to you. The way I understand it is that one kalpa is the same thing as an eon, which contains 60 cycles of parkalpas. Okay? One parkalpa, beings used to live, according to these scriptures, used to live for 80,000 years. over time, because of their bad deeds, they started off in like a paradise Eden type of situation, and then they started doing bad deeds. Their lifespan would shrink until they would only live for 10 years. Then they realized, okay, something's not working here. Let's behave a bit better. So they're starting to watch their morality. Then these 10 years start to grow out again up to 80,000 years. And that is a parkalpa, that cycle where it's from 80,000 to 10 to 80,000 again. So there's 60 parkalpas in a kalpa. But then I read somewhere else too that it's backwards, so forgive me. I'm not certain. It sounds.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
It's a difficult
So you
road
got to
back.
stay there for a long time, long time. In this, when you are creating a schism in the sangha.
I have a question regarding that actually. So when someone is, I mean, they've gone to the worst that you can go to, and they're down there. What are the possibilities of actually having ever the mental state to even come back up? I mean, when you're stuck down there for such a long time, you start to, you become that, you feel that, you are that.
Yeah, it's true.
Your, I mean, your essence is made of this.
Well, your essence is not made of that.
Well, no, it's, how do I put it?
No, I understand what you're saying, but like you can do such a bad deed that you collect so much karma. That karma will run out while you're down there. It is tricky to grasp because when you're in a lowest realm, you can't really do much virtue because you're just in excruciating pain and you're suffering. But it will run out. It will run out. So I think we have to look at that way, that it will run out. And you have lived before, you have done a certain.
So there is forgiveness in it. There's
It runs out. It just runs out. Yeah. And it must have to do with the karma that you have done before to then get you starting a new cycle. That's a little bit more pleasant.
So
But
in
yeah,
in a skirmish, of course, it's one person that starts it off. But what about the people that actually support that? And
Yeah, we're talking about that in a moment.
oh,
So a kalpa takes trillions of years. So you're kind of screwed. Yeah.
I'm just thinking that the song "Take the Long Way Home."
So the sangha, we have a literal meaning and a figurative meaning for the sangha. And can you tell me that, Carol? What's the difference? Do you know?
Oh dear.
Or take a stab at
Okay,
it.
I'll take a stab.
Yeah.
Well, literal, it's your it's your community. I would think it's your community, and we're talking metaphorically now. Is that it? And it can also mean. Okay, so it's killing. This is regarding the schism, right?
This is regarding the schism, but I'm just asking what's the meaning of a sangha.
Well, I think it is your community in terms of your spiritual community, and their communities. Okay, let me think. Well, more broadly, different types of communities. That's all.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. So, a real, literal Sangha would be beings that have seen emptiness directly. And the figurative Sangha is us, right here. Yeah? So a group of people that practice together, or in a monastery, that would be a Sangha. Definitely a group of monks, or three jewels, like that. So this schism talks about the figurative Sangha. So a group of monks, a group like us, okay? So there's a whole long list of things that, in order to create the schism that they're talking about here, all those things must be present. So the good thing is that we actually cannot do this schism, this particular one, because of the following. It has to be committed while the Buddha is on the planet, while in the time of the Buddha, okay? So a long time ago, you could have only done this. And it must have happened, otherwise they would not have made such a big deal out of this. So, because the whole reading, quite a few pages, is all about all the specifics, how this must take place in order for it to happen. So it must have been when the Buddha was present, but it wasn't happening in the place where the Buddha was at that time, so it was in a different location. Because if it would have been where the Buddha was, his radiance wouldn't allow people to even think that way, okay? So the person, the monk that created the schism, must be a monk, and this monk possesses good morality and is very intelligent, very smart, and very attractive too, because people must like this monk. Otherwise, they wouldn't listen to this monk. It's somebody that people respect and look up to. So it's a certain monk that would do this type of thing, because he will break up the followers of the Buddha. Okay, so people like him. And he starts saying like 5 things that are totally not true that you'd have to do in order to reach nirvana. And they're listed in your reading. I can't remember them all, but one of them is like you can't eat yogurt. There's just a few like weird things. Anyways, they say that this can only happen after the first 12 years of a Buddha starting to teach. And the reason for that is the first 12 years, everybody's still excited about the teachings and is full on into it, right? After 12 years, that starts to slip a little bit. Everybody's happy during those first. And actually, that brings up a good point. Like, for us, when we start to study, it's often like that. I said at the beginning of the class, it's very exciting. This information is new and it's life-changing and it's beautiful. Now, after you've been coming for a few years, you're going to hear a lot of repeat stuff. And it might not be so exciting anymore. You might start to think, well, I know this already. I can't hear stuff about emptiness again, like that, which is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. So it's encouraged to, the beginning period is really important for you to have a certain attitude, to plant certain seeds for you to be able to continue and keep being excited about it. And then in 10 years, when you go back to ACI 1 or back to this course, that you're just blown away at how amazing this information is, right? That's what you want. So you got to be mindful of that.
So there's only one Buddha though, because it's only happened once. Is that the idea of different emanations of Buddha?
No, this really talks about Shakyamuni Buddha at that time of right after he's taught for 12 years. Yeah. And they say it cannot be at the end of his final nirvana, which in this case means when he starts to withdraw his emanation. So he has to be still alive. Because they say if he goes, his emanation withdraws, then people are really sad and they actually start to unite because you see that when people die, all of a sudden family gets closer, like that. So, so it has to be earlier when he's still alive. What happens is after the first 12 years of the Buddha's teaching, the teaching starts to spread out, followers start to teach, and corruptions will start to happen in the teachings, right? They start to introduce corruptions. So therefore it becomes easier to split up people. And then another thing that needs to be there is 2 major students need to be alive at that time, which is Shariputra. We hear that name a lot, one of the disciples of Lord Buddha. And then the other one that I hadn't heard before, I don't know if I can pronounce it, Madhyayana. So they're called the supreme pair. And this supreme pair must be present when the schism happens because the supreme pair is going to repair the situation within 24 hours and bring the Sangha back together. So that means the schism is only a 24-hour thing.
Did this actually happen? Sounds like it.
Yeah, it does sound like it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's very detailed. It's very detailed. And Geshe Micro says there seems to be a pattern like this suggested in the Abhidharma. So maybe it has happened more than once like that. Okay. So during the 24 period, nobody can reach any realizations. Nobody can think clearly. Nobody can reach seeing emptiness directly, reach nirvana, or anything like that. Okay, so they actually call that breaking up the wheel. So that's very severe. People can't study. They can't recite scriptures. Nothing. They can't meditate. So it's disrupting the energy of the planet. And so we can think of this too, like in our own Sangha, in our own, even your group of friends, how important it is to not create division, right? Especially in the Sangha, especially, like a place like Three Jewels. There's quite a big group of people that you could consider the Sangha for Three Jewels. And when you start to gossip about each other and say, start to divide them, it's really, really not good. Really not good. So you really got to watch your thoughts and watch what you're saying. Because these are people that are aspiring to become enlightened, right? So you don't want to mess with that. You don't want to slow anybody down. You want to help each other and do the opposite. Help each other get there as fast as we can. Right? So when you start to see others as wrong or you make judgment, don't give into it because it's your mind that does that, right? Don't buy into your stories. You've created all what you see. If you don't like something about somebody, then you gotta change your karma. the general thing is to think of everyone as your mother. That's always good. So why is it these five and not other deeds that are considered so bad? Well, two of them are killing. One of them is attempt to murder, right? And they're high objects. Your mother and your father have given you life. And it has nothing to do with whether they give you a pleasant upbringing or not. It's not about that. It's about the very fact that because of your parents, you are here in this human form, this body that you have. With this body, you can become enlightened. So they have given you this opportunity. So you don't want to reject them. And they say, childbirth too. I mean, your mom's gone through excruciating pain for you to be here.
There one class where we said there was a lot of good karma if you're helping these same people.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're helping, sorry?
These, your mother, your father, and our aunt.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that more next week, actually, about what powers up your karma. But yeah. So the opposite is true. If you do great deeds for these beings, then that will be very powerful, just as it's very powerful if you do bad deeds towards them. Yeah. And the schism is so bad, not necessarily about the deed itself, but the schism itself, it's the lie that creates the schism that's considered so bad.
Well, is it the lie or is it being, if I'm thinking more, I mean, I white lie once in a while because I need to, like, do something to protect a situation. Like if a child was going to fall, I'll say, don't go, or something. I can't think right now.
Yeah, well, this is a lie that's intentionally, that starts in your mind. You start to have thoughts, then those thoughts will turn into words where you're purposely splitting people up by lying.
Right, so it's the split, it's what that lie creates.
What the lie creates, yeah.
Is it an intentional lie or because the person has bought into the wrong view?
Yeah, it says here it's not done out of ignorance, which is kind of crazy.
So if it's not done out of ignorance, where does it come from?
Yeah, that's something you can think about. You know. So say Penpei Shi. Penpei is help, Shi is basis. And this refers to your mother and your father. They are objects of help because they have created you and given you the opportunity to become enlightened in this lifetime. Right? So when you kill them, they are an extraordinary object in your world. So therefore, it's severe to kill them because of the benefit that they gave you. So the two attitudes in your mind at the time of killing them is an attitude of rejection. You're rejecting your parents mentally before you kill them. That you are rejecting the benefit that they've given you, right? And in that way, you're also rejecting your own Buddhahood. because you have no recognition of what they are and what opportunity they give you. So yeah, the attitude of rejecting them, that you don't need them, and then the second one is eliminating them.
So is this like a past karma from because if it's not out of ignorance and it comes back and you're setting this foundation.
This would be, I would think, is ignorance. Yeah, the schism is that it's not done out of ignorance.
So then, if it, I'm getting deep with that. So I'm just trying to understand. So if something's not from ignorance, then it comes from past karma.
Well, everything comes from past karma.
But yeah, no. What mental state could one person be in then if they're not coming from ignorance? Is it coming from?
Well, you would have some wisdom, right?
Sorry.
You would have some wisdom. You'd have some understanding
Power.
of karma and emptiness.
Power. Okay. Sorry, I just want to understand.
The okay, so Junten Gishi. So that applies to the last three objects of the five misdeeds. Yenten means extraordinary good personal quality. The Buddha, the Arhat, the Sangha, all very high objects. Okay, they're very holy. So anything you do towards these beings is magnified. And Geshe Michael Roach equates this to stealing and throwing away the last cure for AIDS, something like that. That's um, how important it is. The last AIDS medicine that could cure and cure the disease and save everyone, like that. So anyone who rejects these holy objects, they're taking away the opportunity for other beings to become enlightened. That's why it's so severe. For the Sangha, you reject it, separate it for 24 hours, nobody can have any realizations. And yeah. They say that the unity of the Sangha is like the Dharmakaya, which is the body of the Buddha, right? The wisdom body of the Buddha. And the way that I can understand that is like, what are the wishes of a Buddha? A Buddha wishes for everybody to become happy and free of suffering. So a group like the Sangha is a group that represents that, right? So they are, you could say, the emanation of the Dharma Kaya. So that's how heavy it is if you do something towards the Sangha. And really, when you are practicing with a group, with a Sangha, your practice should get sweeter and sweeter, and you should grow closer and closer.
It's almost like a bad seed in a batch. It's like you pick it out and then you throw it and it just goes down to the bottom of the earth. This is my vision.
So make sure that the Dharma that you hear, that you treat it like it's very special. Don't treat it like it's something normal you can just come at any time, because it doesn't work like that. If you just see it as something not so special, you'll become hardened over time and you won't have the experience of it sounding amazing, divine, being able to take it in, being able to practice it, right? So it would be really, really beneficial if you can come to classes with an open mind and put it to practice and try to do your homework and try to see it as something holy, something special that will take you to become enlightened and doesn't become just something else that you collect. You can collect all the binders and you can be, oh, what course is next? Go get another binder. It becomes spiritual materialism, right? It just becomes the next thing. Who's the next teacher in town? You know, and you just take it all in, but you're not realizing it, you're not practicing it, you're not thinking about it during your day. Um, then that can result in it no longer appearing to you as something special, something that can actually help you set you free of suffering. It won't always just be here. It won't. You need to have the causes in place, and it's very, very fragile. So the order of severity with those 5 immediate misdeeds. The worst one, I already said it, is the schism, right? It's the worst, which ends you up in the lowest hell, the hell of no respite, which refers to it's continuous. There's not a break in between your excruciating pain. Then the second worst is trying to kill a Buddha. Drawing blood from a Buddha with evil intent. Then the next one is the enemy destroyer, killing the arhat. Then killing your mother, and then the last one would be killing your father. Okay, so that is the order of severity. Now we're almost done here. They give another list of 5 misdeeds that are the next close 5 misdeeds, but I'm actually not sure if they're listed in your homework. But I'll give them to you anyway, so you know that you shouldn't do those either. They're not in your homework, but I'll list them. The first one, and there's not a note saying what the order of severity is, so I'm not sure about that. But the first one listed is raping your mother, who is also an arhat. So your mother who's already reached nirvana. Don't rape her.
I'm sorry. It just sounds so absurd.
I know.
I can't, I'm sorry. It's just
You're
even
talking-
the thought of
It's
that.
not even
entry.
metaphorical, right? I mean, actual.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't even process that.
No.
That
It happens though.
that thought.
I mean, it happens. Where did I see this? I saw it on the news the other day. Some kind of article about, oh, what country is this? Must be an African country where there's just groups of men raping everybody, everywhere. They rape their own daughters, they rape their wives, they rape their mothers. They're like gangs. That's what they do. So it happens
It has to be an arhat. The mother has to be an arhat too.
in this thing, yeah.
Which could be possible in Africa. I'm sure we know that.
Yeah, you never know who anybody is, right? So it's really possible. So that's the first one. The second one is kill a bodhisattva who is a bodhisattva of certainty, which means they only have 100 kalpas to go. Which, we've talked about the kalpas, which is like trillion years. So, wow.
They're on their way.
They're on their way.
So
Yeah.
It's not. It kind of just reminds like killing something that you can't really kill because so you kill this bodhisattva.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to really. I mean, the person's dead, but actually the reality is this person probably becomes enlightened to a higher space, or I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. It's hard to know. Yeah, their mind will go on. So depending on what they have done, they will, yeah, continue on closer to the goal. Depending, right? So the next one is to kill anybody of the 7 high practitioners, and this refers to people who have reached the path of seeing, who've seen emptiness directly. Next one, stealing the property of the Sangha. And so this would refer to, I mean, it could be in a monastery where you steal Buddha images or anything, really, steal anything that's on the property. But in our case, it could be, I don't know why, but I so happened to be the one that the 2 times that Three Jewels got broken into on Broadway, I was the one who would just arrive and find the scene. I don't know what that means. That's the only 2 times they got broken into. But that would be like not good karma, right? Somebody who breaks in and takes the money, makes a mess, and not good. Holy place, right? Holy place. Or you can think of countries where they just go in and they raid the whole place, right? They raid the whole monastery or whatever. And then the last one is out of feeling of anger or hatred, destroying images, holy images. So our altars, then that comes to mind for sure, like Tibet, the Chinese destroying all of their scriptures, their monasteries, like everything, right? Also, what comes to mind to me is when I went to Thailand, you go to the temple ruins and you see it, rows and rows of Buddha statues, but none of them have any heads. Yeah, I think those were the Burmese monks that at some point smashed them all, right? Well, that would fall under this category.
What about the one here too in Vancouver on 16th and Granville? There was a monastery there,
Mm.
and there were monks that sat up there for years praying to save that monastery.
Mm.
They actually tore it down and they built that complex, that very expensive, exclusive complex there.
Okay.
It's just right on the corner. Six, yeah, 16th and Granville there.
Yeah, well, like that, sure. Yeah. So any of these deeds will also, you'll be going to hell, but the severity is lesser. So the Buddha has said that the most serious bad deeds were the mental ones. And, when you have the body, speech, and mind, which is related to the 10 misdeeds, right? And I think the reason is that everything starts out in your mind. You start to have thoughts, and of those thoughts, you can end up killing your mother, right? It starts in your mind. And then I have a mention here of the wrong views. There's 5 bad views, and that's the last little part of the class. The first wrong view is the view of the mighty cliff dwellers. And what this refers to is what we do. We study the middle way, and the middle way is the path between the two cliffs. Okay? So, on the one hand, there's thinking that everything is self existent, everything is out there. Nothing depends on my projection, everything is out there. Okay? And then the other cliff is because things are empty, nothing matters. It's empty, anyways. Doesn't matter. I can just do this or that. Doesn't matter. You know, that kind of attitude. So most people will be drawn to one more than the other. Generally, people think things are all self-existent, and then when they start to study a little bit, then the danger becomes more to think it doesn't matter anyways. But things do matter, especially because they're empty. Right? Everything can function as your way out of suffering because they're empty. So it does really matter, and things are real in the sense of you are creating them moment by moment by moment. Okay? That's how the world exists. No other way. And does it function? Yeah, it totally functions. So that's the first wrong view. Then the second one is called me and myself. And that refers to thinking that you and what belongs to you is all self existent. What's me and mine exists from its own side. And then the third one is mistaken morality and austerity, which does refer to extreme practices. Like, I don't know if you ever seen, maybe on TV, like there's practitioners in India or something, those sadhus that stand with their arm up for 10 years or something, practices like that. Stand on one leg forever, or that's their spiritual path. So this says it's a mistaken view, but it also relates to starving yourself. You know, you need to, yeah, not fasting for a long time. Like it's not going to get you enlightened. Okay. Yeah. I've seen documentaries on beings that don't eat, like they live on something else, and it is possible. Like you can, yeah, yeah, and drinking even also, yeah. But is it going to help you or not? Is it making you happier or not? Like that's the thing. I mean, it's cool. There's all sorts of cities, they call it, like powers that you can attain as you move along the path. You start to be able to control the weather. You can walk on water, like Jesus did that. Like you start to be able to master the elements, and that's all really cool. But in the end, big deal. Like, are you getting out of suffering or not? Like, that's what matters. It doesn't matter if you can fly or, if it's not helping other people and yourself to become enlightened, then there's no point in spending your time trying to be able to do these things, right? There's no point. So it's really about, and maybe you do it because it's something that somehow you have to karma or to master very quickly, and you use it in a way that you can help people, then great. But what is your intention? That's really important. Is it making you happier? Are you able to help other people not suffer? That's really what's important. So they're saying like the extreme practices, it's a wrong view to think that that can make you free of suffering. Then the fourth bad view is to think that your wrong views are great. That's a wrong view. And then the last one, which is the worst of all of these, is the wrong view of thinking that karma doesn't exist. Karma and emptiness don't exist, past and future lives don't exist, right? Like that.
I have a question actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a different religion, they're not going to believe any of this.
No.
And their beliefs are just as strong as someone who practices Buddhism or someone who practices some other religion.
Sure.
And I'm just curious because they don't believe this and they don't follow this and they don't understand this. Is this because in Catholicism, because I've been brought up Catholic, if you don't practice Catholicism and you don't, you know, I don't know, it's like really bad, and you
Right.
go to hell if you don't do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I sometimes because I'm not torn. I'm very blessed to have an open mind to see things open and be open to everything, and I'm grateful for that. But I question lots of things. I question my pure existence. I question religion. I question people.
Yeah.
I question life. I question. So I'm questioning this, this, like there's lots of people that don't even understand karma
Mm-hmm.
and can't follow it, and or lives like in Catholicism, like there is no such thing as as before and after.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't disregard and I don't disrespect Catholicism that doesn't. I think it's all beautiful, and I don't think it really matters. In my view, what most matters is that healing the earth, healing people is better, and sending love, and healing other people's pain, compassion is the root of what I think. But is it wrong? Is it wrong? Like if you can't have someone, if you tell someone about karma, or if like there's times I can't even talk about certain
No,
people can't
and
even
you shouldn't.
mention that because
You
they'll just
shouldn't.
look at me like I'm
You know
elsewhere.
what? You're not allowed
Oh,
to
okay,
talk
good.
about it unless somebody asks you.
And I don't.
If they're genuinely interested in hearing this information, then you can tell them, but don't go spreading
Oh no, I would
teachings,
never,
because if they're
ever.
not ready, then if they're ready, they will hear it. If they're not ready, then you shouldn't be the one, because what can happen is you can do the opposite, right?
Yes,
They can
of course.
then disparage Buddhism or these ideas, which will not help them either. To disparage any other people or any religions is not helpful, right?
Yeah, no, and I think
So what I think any religion has. There's a lot of common things, between all the religions, and the main important thing, is be moral, and that's what your church
Totally.
teaches you. So, it's beautiful, and if all the people would follow what's being taught in the church, love your neighbor, like all of that, if everybody would apply that, then I can see, any religion really function, because according to Buddhism, like, you need the morality in order to gain virtue to have deep realizations. So, however, which way you will learn about morality and start to put it in practice doesn't really matter, right? And you can't stop the karma after you've done good deeds. And, you know, after a while, you can start some really divine things in church. I go to church sometimes and I hear a lot about karma Okay, they don't use the word karma,
Yes, but it's practiced in different
but
ways.
it's all the same, you know? So you start to hear things a different way, a little bit different language, but the message is very, very similar. So I don't think it matters. But you know, you have the karma to hear these teachings and hear about seeing emptiness directly, hearing about karma and emptiness, and which is which will speed the whole process up a million times, you know.
I was told once, and I really like this story, that religion is like flowers. They all look different, they all smell different, but they all need the same thing to survive and grow and change, which is water, sun, all the elements of life.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really fascinating. So really, religion with flowers, it's just, they all look different, they all smell different, they all need the same thing. They all.
And I think there's stories about great saints that have had experiences like seeing emptiness directly. Um, so,
They must have.
so it does. It's definitely possible, but it does start with morality, watching your mind all the time. You know, watching what you're thinking, changing your habits, and it just really helps when we can kill our ignorance. Then we are like speeding like crazy, you know?
That's what I see in your churches typically. Where I associate with a church or a sermon, it's a morality. It's a morality tale. It's parables and fables, lessons to help help a person move forward in their lives. Very applicable to a lay person too, and not so philosophical as, for example, what we're doing here. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going as deep as to the underpinning, the premises of that. And I could say too for that you were saying that what religion needs, but I think also what religion wants is similar. I think in the end, I'd suggest I'm thinking that perhaps what religion wants is, the person to be free of. They want to be free of suffering, and that is
Mm-hmm.
through something that can be interpreted by as love in many ways. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that there, but the underpinnings, the philosophical underpinnings are very different in terms of like here we have we're having the non that non-essentialism, no essence, the emptiness. That is a very critical underpinning, which would not be found in a Christian religion.
No, and it's totally true. And I think, you know, that, we have so many divisions of Buddhism, we have so many different schools,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really what you're ready for to hear,
Yes.
right? Like Lord Buddha taught different systems according
Yeah.
to where someone's at. And I think it's the same in church. Like there are all sorts of different churches out there, and certain churches appeal to certain people that are exactly ready for that. So that is perfect, you know. I know my own parents. They have over the years they've changed churches, maybe I don't know 7 times. You know, so you could see it like that. Like they started out at a certain church, and then perhaps they've evolved, and now they're ready for, oh, now actually they're in a church that's way more open minded and way more loose, while it started out more strict and all these rules. And if you don't do this, you go to hell. And now it's more like, no, just love, everyone's the same. You know what I mean? So things evolve, and wherever you are ready for, that's what you will find yourself in that type of church or that type of school of Buddhism, right? So it's all perfect. It will all lead to the same
Mm-hmm.
goal. So it's perfect. Yeah. Let's end class.
Thank you.
Well, I love it when I can get a new friend. An old friend.
A very old friend.
We're recognizing each other. There we go. Oh yeah, I remember you.
Please. So we do sashi first, and then we do geiwadi.
Oh, I do. Okay, got it. Okay, here we go. Sashi buki,